So this is how you would refer telehealth clinic founders or decision makers. There's email, SMS/text, or conversational scripts that we have here. Obviously adjusted to your vibe, your template, your style, and then, go ahead and send these out. Let's start with the email, where you could say something like, hey, name, it's been a minute, hope you've been okay. Obviously remove this if they're already warm. And you can say something like, hey, I remember that with your company, the telehealth brand's name, that you're potentially looking for cheaper peptide, GLP-1, TRT, blah, 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 whatever their main SKU is, pricing. You're looking for cheaper sourcing for this, right? Well, have you taken a look at Affinity AI? I heard that they're bringing in 20 plus different compounders into one API, and they can actually guarantee that they can beat your prices. Check it out here. Boom, and you link it over there, right? And so the big thing here that I would hit on is the pricing component, at least for the telehealth brands, because for them it's just about how much volume you could do. That's the biggest thing. And then the secondary component is the actual easeability or ease of usability. I changed it to easeability. You know what? I'm going to use easeability. Yeah, it's the easeability of plugging into one API, which is why we hit that over here. And then we also throw in the guarantee there to know that they're not kind of wasting their time. We do have this guarantee for specific clinics that have mass volume, so you could throw that in there like that. Obviously, adjust this to your style if you'd like. Blah blah. All right, and then if they're kind of potentially objecting or being a bit more kind of like pushed off, like, hey, what is this? Like, why are you talking about this? And you could be like, hey, I actually heard that they're rolling out to 4,000 different clinics and 20 of the largest compounding pharmacies. To kind of establish that trust and credibility with Affinity AI. And maybe if you want to throw in, I didn't try to make this too, customized to how your experience could be, because I don't want to put words in your mouth. But if you saw a good experience with, like, let's say using Affinity AI, maybe you're a client, or maybe you watching this, you are, you've seen your clients find, or you've seen your referrals find a lot of success with this. You could be like, hey, I actually referred it to X telehealth brand, and they got their price cheaper, blah, blah, and they said this, like, why don't you check it out? Because now you could kind of throw in that, like, authoritative, testimonial of another referral, and that just builds more influence in that capacity. So I should maybe, I like that. We could do, personal testimonial of another telehealth brand. And you could do something like that. Okay, so if we move on over to back to where we were, let's now go to the SMS section, right? Where number one, if we want to re-engage them, if they're a bit kind of not as warmed up, then you can say something like, hey, name, been a minute, how have you been? And you can kind of build that rapport. So yeah, and then you'll go into the pitch, right? After you've like had a conversation. Obviously, don't say that section like if they are. I don't know, like if you've already talked to them yesterday, right? But in terms of the pitch section, you're gonna say like, hey, I remember with your telehealth company, like you were potentially looking for, better peptide and GLP-1, TRT, HRT sourcing, and then you send that, because obviously in SMS you want to send like the messages in a flow state, unless it's your style where you want to send everything in one block. That's fine too. And then you would say something like, hey, seen Affinity AI, heard that they actually brought 20 plus different compounders into one API to kind of guarantee, and they also guarantee that you're able to they're able to beat your existing prices. Send. Check it out here. Send with your link, right? So yeah, once again, we are able to potentially guarantee that we could beat their prices majority of the time that we can, especially with the fact that when they're at much more volume, like we're able to bring that to compounders along with our volume and just negotiate those better prices, right? So 100% the pitching for the for the SMS section, you could say something like this, and obviously adjust it to your style and kind of your liking. Okay, then moving on to the actual conversational section, right? This is when you're in person or you're on a call, right? When you're kind of in that zone, you say something like, well, hey, how have you been, man? How you been doing? Build that rapport. I'm not going to teach you how to have a conversation. I'm sure you're already extremely intelligent and at a pretty high level. So yeah, and then you want to get into kind of a transition into the pitch, right? You want to say something like, well, hey, I remember with your telehealth company, you were potentially looking for better pricing for peptides, GLP-1s, blah blah. Have you actually looked at like Affinity AI? I heard that they're bringing 20 plus different compounders into one API and can guarantee that they could actually beat your prices. And then if they're a little bit confused on this, they're like, why do I need this, blah, blah, you can say something like, yeah. Well, the biggest thing I've actually heard with them is, number one, they're actually faster, because instead of kind of needing multiple different compounder APIs with varied pricing, stock, dosages, shipping, support, blah, blah, you can just plug into one API. Because, just so you understand what these telehealth brands, right? These guys have to plug into multitudes of different LifeFile APIs and negotiate all those existing rates. Then plug into FedEx and UPS and USPS, and it's like, this is just a different product. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like it was payment processing before Stripe, right? It was as if like you're going to, if you wanted to go buy something and you had to go to every single store instead of just going to a Walmart, right? Or instead of going to like an Amazon. It's like if you were trying to get taxis before Uber. Like, it's just ridiculous, right? This should all be in one place for these guys. And so that's why we would talk about that point being first. But then number two, we move on to being like, hey, they're also cheaper actually, because instead of negotiating with a volume of one clinic, they're able to negotiate with a volume of thousands. And number three, they're also safer because they bring all the resources to validate compliance and product safety in one place, like COAs, adverse events, state licensures, LegitScripts, and the pharmacist-in-charge's background. Now, these I mentioned because those are the main things that these actual telehealth brands look for. But what we're able to do is, you could show those things as well as these other things in case they ask for it, so that you have the clarity that, hey, they are actually, whether we're checking this kind of stuff, to know that telehealth brands or know that the compounders are legit and backed up. Number three, you could mention the price, being like, hey, well, I actually heard that it's completely free to join, and they charge only like a 15% transparent markup on the pricing, and they negotiate with the compounders, so it actually nets out to be cheaper than even if you went direct to the compounders. So yeah, if you're interested, then you could join over here. I sent you a link, boom, and you would text it to them or email it to them. So that is how to pitch telehealth brand decision makers or founders. Affinity AI, and the value prop of it, it's a pretty no-brainer offer. It's just free to integrate, and they're able to get better pricing. So why would they not? As well as it being much easier than needing to integrate every single other compounder out there. Another thing is, even if they have like a compounder they want to work with, we will actually integrate that for them and assist them in that process, right? Prioritize them because they want that compounder integrated into Affinity AI. We'll do that for them too. So that is how to pitch different telehealth brands.